Hello YouTube, it's BirdOPrey5, and I'm back with my first reaction slash short review of Star Trek Discovery Season 2, Episode 5, Saints of Imperfection, which, at least this season, some titles have had at least some relation to the story at hand. Brother, New Eden, probably some others. But this one, nothing. I don't. Saints of Imperfection, right off the bat, terrible title choice. I didn't know what to expect. Saints, imperfect saints, people trying to be saints. Uh, nothing in this episode even resembles it. I guess an oboe for Sharon, whatever that was. That didn't really make much sense either, but at least that was episode 4. That was, that was the high point of the season. Right about there. That dot. Stupid title, but to me at least, a decent episode. I know a lot of people complained it was too much stuff happened in the episode. Wow, complaining about too much stuff. Okay, to me, too much stuff just means they packed a lot of good stuff in. But fine. If people want to have the opinion it was too much stuff, I mean, we can agree to disagree. But I didn't mind it. But oh man, they came off that high, and just as I was afraid, they crashed and burned. We are right back into the pits. I don't know whether this is a 1 or a 1.5 or a 2, but it is far below what last week's was. It is below most of the season. Season 2 has been only that infamous episode 3 of season 2 has been worse than the show last night, than episode 5. Saints of Imperfection, here's the problem with it. Listen, I hate to say it, but I've almost gotten used to the constant violations of canon. Okay, I've come to expect that from Star Trek Discovery, and if you excuse it as it's a different timeline, that helps. But even then, it's like, why would this be different? Like the JJ verse, okay, it's a different timeline, but you have to wonder, why would things be so radically different in parts of the Federation that weren't affected by the events that changed the timeline? I mean, you can argue chaos theory, or you can argue that it's just a completely separate timeline, so there were bound to be differences anyway. But logically, I like to think that only things that were affected should really have been changed. So, it was basically the destruction of Romulus in the future, and then the JJ verse started with the attack on Kirk's father's ship, which, sure, that would screw up Kirk's life, and every reason his life will be different. But why would Uhura and Spock's academy life be different? Why would Sulu's life be different? Um, Things like that. Why would Scotty have a little alien friend that we've never seen or heard of before? You know, that the attack on the ship probably shouldn't have made those differences, but you could say, okay, they're all Federation, so maybe, just maybe, they had reasons. But then, you know, the entire design of a space station, so different from that in which we saw in the TOS movies. Incredibly, just 100% different. More advanced in some ways, incredibly stupid in other ways. There's absolutely zero reason there would be so much difference uh, because of the change in the timeline. So that's what I'm saying. Um, Not to review the JJ verse, but even if you say, okay, one event changed it, so the timeline is different, there are just so many differences. It just doesn't make sense. But you know what? Here's my biggest problem with this episode. I found it boring. It was a boring episode. Yeah, things happened. Things I really didn't care about. They were of little to zero interest to me. Uh, we'll go through the events a little later, but just some big ones. Obviously, the premise of this one is that from the last episode, Tilly was kidnapped or something. And we knew from the previews that Tilly was in the mycelial network, the mushroom network, that the ghost May, stole Tilly because she had plans for her. And so she was kidnapped, so we knew they had to go find her. And it was getting her back was, I guess, the A plot of this episode, and it was boring. And then they'd say, I guess the B plot was we thought we were chasing, and spoilers ahead, in case you weren't sure. We thought we were chasing Spock's shuttle, and for bizarre reasons, they couldn't get it with a tractor beam, so Captain Pike orders a photon torpedo be shot at the shuttle, but detonated a few hundred meters off the bow, yards off the bow, I forget what he said, so that it wouldn't destroy the shuttle. It would just kind of knock it out of. And why would they lose the shuttle in a nebula if they were just behind it? I mean, I guess we've seen that in Star Trek 2, that you can lose a ship in the nebula, but those are evenly matched ships. And, you know, a Starfleet shuttle and a Discovery, whatever class vessel, Crossfield class vessel that the Discovery is, that is not an evenly matched, that's not evenly matched at all. They should have no trouble finding the shuttle. I mean, the nebula is only so big. If they had to wait for him to come out, they could wait for him to come out. But all that aside, they shoot a torpedo, and it of course it it damages the shuttle. They're able to finally tractor beam the shuttle in. Why they didn't tractor beam it first, who knows? They tractor the shuttle in. Then they all go down to meet the shuttle, and we expect we're finally catching up. We're finally going to meet Spock. We're 5 episodes into the season, and this has been teased since the last episode of season 1. Um, and still no. Who do we get? We get Giorgio, the Terran Empress from the Mirror Universe, now a Section 31 agent. Well, you know what, Giorgio? Why didn't you just answer the hail and say, hey, Section 31, I'm on secret business. Leave me alone. Because that's exactly what she says when she walks onto the shuttle, when she walks off the shuttle onto the shuttle deck with 5 people pointing phasers at her. And Captain Pike is like, oh, Captain Giorgio, we were good friends at the academy. You were the greatest cadet I ever knew. You drank everyone under the table and was the smartest person I knew, and so smart and so good. You're great at everything, and wow, you really impressed me. And here again, they have to tell us how great a character was. They can't show us how great the character was. We got to take someone's word for it. And it absurdly stupid, because the real Captain Georgiou, she seemed like a adequate captain, but she did not seem to be a top tier captain, for lack of a better word. We certainly never hear her referred to in the future. I mean, yeah, people talk about Kirk, people talk about Pike, people talk about Archer, even in the JJ verse. People talk about other captains who we haven't seen so much of, but never once is Captain Georgiou ever, I hope I'm pronouncing her name right, ever mentioned again. So, she's not supposed to be a hero captain. She's supposed to be an average captain. And, that's the performance she gave, was of an average captain. And I'm sorry if that's terrible news to people who've been watching Discovery. But yeah, she was not an exceptional captain. And she died, unfortunately. But I guess Starfleet swore an entire crew to secrecy, 2 crews even, because there was the crew of the whatever ship she had, where everyone knew she died. God knows how many people those people spoke to in the time between then and the time the Empress came back on the Discovery. So then everybody on Discovery had to be sworn to secrecy. They were 2 almost completely different crews, except for Michael Burnham. There's just too many secrets here. There's too many secrets to be believed. So fine, we don't get to meet Spock. And you know what? We're not going to meet him next week either, people, because we see the preview for next week. And next week, it's Saru. It's a Saru story. They're finally going back to Saru's planet, because I guess this week he realized he didn't care enough. Next week he's going to finally realize that, hey, I've got to save my people, because every day I delay, more and more are probably being eaten by the Baku or Barul, whatever they are. I don't even care. They're being eaten by some other species, and I don't know, maybe they're not supposed to be eaten, because hey, I'm one Kelpian, and I survived my ganglia falling out, and now I have superpowers or something. And surely all my people must be capable of this as me. So we've got to go back to my planet and save them, and break the Prime Directive, no doubt. So yeah, there's nowhere for Spock to come in episode 6. So I don't know, maybe episode 7, probably will be a tease again. But if I had to guess, I'm not sure Spock comes in until the last episode of the season at this point. If they weren't going to bring him in early, then they're probably not going to bring him in until late. That's just my thought. We'll see. The other major issue with this episode, as far as I'm concerned, the complete and utter death of Section 31. No longer is Section 31 autonomous. Does it answer to no one but itself? No. No longer is it so secret that no one knows it exists. I mean, Section 31 was so secret, no 99% of Starfleet didn't know it existed. That included captains, that included admirals. Didn't matter how high up the chain you were, you probably didn't know it existed unless you were doing work for them. And if you were, you kept it damn secret. It was not a well-known organization. It was not like the Tal Shiar or the Obsidian Order or the Brotherhood of Kahless or whatever the Klingons have. Order of Kahless. Nobody knew Section 31 existed. Okay, it was not the equivalent of any government program we can name today, because if we can name the CIA, we can name the NSA, we can name the FBI, and no, because we know their names, they're already wrong. The closest it would be I don't know, like those alien conspiracy groups that people claim exist, the Majestic 12 or something, which, you know, the government has never officially acknowledged existed, and probably doesn't, but that would be it. I mean, people talking about a conspiracy inside Starfleet, they'd be looked at as the loons. They would be the Alex Joneses of the Starfleet universe about this great big conspiracy, and oh, they've got cloaking devices, and they've got communications. They can just tap their chest and they can talk to ships a million miles away, and they're turning the Tribbles gay. That's what people who would talk about Section 31 would have sounded like prior to Star Trek Discovery. But thanks to this episode, Section 31 no longer a secret organization. Now it's just apparently like it's the cool kids now. Section 31 is the cool kids. Everyone in Starfleet knows that Section 31 exists. They know what they do, apparently. They know Section 31 is now a department of Starfleet. More than, it's not autonomous anymore. It seems that admirals can tell Section 31 what to do, or how to do it, and when to do it, and how they can put Section 31 on missions. Section 31 doesn't get put on missions by Starfleet. Section 31 creates their own missions. Okay, Starfleet doesn't go to Section 31. Section 31 goes to Starfleet. At least that's how it was in Deep Space Nine and Enterprise. Okay, that's the way it's supposed to be in the Prime original timeline. And I can hear you now saying, "Oh, Prime timeline's not original." No, okay. Prime timeline is the original timeline. Don't give me any crap. If CBS wants to say no, it's not, they're just lying. Okay, you can't get out of it that easy, CBS. If you want to say that, then you know what? Class action lawsuit. You told everyone Star Trek Discovery was the prime timeline. You knew damn well you misrepresented what prime timeline meant, and I didn't buy I did not buy a all access subscription for season one, so I wouldn't be part of the class. But man, anyone who did buy a CBS all access all access, anyone who bought a CBS all access subscription, believing that Star Trek Discovery was in the Prime universe because that's what they said, I think you've got a great case. Go talk to a lawyer, a class action lawyer, right now, because you know what? Yeah, the other people in the class, they're only going to get maybe 6 months free of CBS All Access if you win. But if you are the lead plaintiff, if you are the person who initiates the class action lawsuit, you're the one who talks to a lawyer who sees that there is a reason for a lawsuit. If you're the lead, whatever it's called, plaintiff or whatever, you actually get a lot more benefit than all the other suckers in the class who just get the little bit of crappy pittance they give out when they have to settle with thousands and thousands of people. Not that I think there were too many millions. There certainly weren't millions. I don't even think there were hundreds of thousands. If tens of thousands of people joined CBS All Access because of Star Trek Discovery, I'd be. I guess that's about what I'd believe. If it was more, I'd be shocked. But you know what? If there was a lawsuit and it actually went forward, they'd have to release those numbers. They'd have to release those numbers because, no pun intended, during discovery phase of the lawsuit, they would have to find out how many people were actually potentially affected. So they would look up the people who joined CBS All Access from the time they started advertising Star Trek Discovery and claiming it was going to be in the prime timeline. There's a serious breach or fraud. It's fraud. It is fraud. To say it's in the prime timeline and then it's not the prime timeline because the prime timeline actually means something else different. No, that is just called fraud. It's clear cut. And, for most people, you're not going to get anything back. You'll be lucky to get a couple free months of CBS All Access. But man, if you're the one who finds the right lawyer. If you're the one who finds the right lawyer who takes the case, the lawyer gets paid and you get paid. You get extra money because you put in the work, you put in the effort, and you get recognized for doing that in a class action suit. So yeah, don't wait for somebody else to do it, because then you're gonna get suckered. You're gonna get nothing. But if it's you, if you have standing, if you honestly and earnestly purchased a CBS All Access subscription based on the fact that this was a Star Trek show taking place in the Prime universe that you probably would not have been interested in had it been the JJ verse or a separate timeline, you have a case. You better call Saul, but not Saul Goodman. Saul, some other Saul. A Saul that's good at class action suits. You better give me Jimmy is what you need. Little Better Call Saul pun for those who don't watch. And if you don't watch, shame on you. infinitely better show than Star Trek Discovery. So yeah, we've got Georgiou, we've got Pike, we've got the death of Section 31. Oh, and Ash Man Bun Tyler. He's back, but without the man bun. So you know what? Congratulations. That was easily the best part of this episode for me. Ash Tyler back. His hair, I don't have any, but his hair all messed up, but at least not in a man bun. Yeah, much, much better. Great improvement. I can't believe that the biggest improvement is a man's hairstyle, but that's what we've been reduced to here, people. That's what we've been reduced to. And oh, the A plot. So Tilly is I don't know. I don't know how Tilly gets there. I don't know why Tilly can survive in the My Serial network. Like, why? Since when do they have do they just happen to have an oxygen nitrogen atmosphere in a My Serial network that happens to be in subspace? I mean, that why can she even breathe? That this makes no sense whatsoever. We've got to suspend disbelief on so many levels that an actual human being can survive in the My Serial network. That it's beyond absurd. Beyond absurd. And so fine, they find her. Actually, she finds Discovery because Discovery literally just comes crashing through the front door, apparently. How they get from outside the ship to inside the ship, they don't even show it. I mean, it kind of looks like they just walk in a door, like there's a door to the outside that I guess they can just put a code on and walk in without, I don't know, without doing anything. We don't know how they get from outside Discovery to inside Discovery to a weapons locker of all places. But whatever, sure. Of course, Star Trek Discovery's weapons lockers are easily accessible to the outside. That's the best place for them to be. Makes sense. Why did Stamets and Burnham have to be inside the chamber? I mean, the chamber just seems to be glass. It doesn't look like there's any special reason they needed to be inside the chamber. So it was safe for them to go into the My Serial network. And I don't know. Oh, yeah, of course, I can't forget. The Doctor is back, and I forgot his name because he was a season 1 character, and I literally did not know the name of anyone from season 1 except Stamets, Tilly, Michael Burnham, Lorca, and Georgiou. That was it. That was the only people I could remember the names of. Period. And the Doctor's back. We thought he was dead. I mean, I knew he was coming back because I read articles that he'd be back this season, and people didn't believe me. But you know what? I was starting not to believe myself. I was like, oh, we got to episode 4 and he's not back yet. I was keeping my fingers crossed because, to be honest, I didn't have any great love for the guy. All he did was slow Stamets down, it seemed. And where was Jet? Where was Jet Reno? Not the best character in the world, mind you, but she just came off episode 4 where she was heavily involved in what happened in episode 4, and now episode 5 completely gone, completely absent. There were mechanical things happening on the ship. They needed people who knew what they were doing. It seems like she would have been well within her element to help fix the ship, help save the ship, as they were being sucked into the My Serial Network. I'm sure she could have come up with some slingshot around a moon or something and winched their way out. But no, she just not part of this episode. I assume she has the day off, and she was reading a book in her quarters about biology. So we don't see her. Very inconsistent on when characters get used. Um, but okay. So the doctor's husband is back. Uh, how he's alive in the My Serial Network, they try to explain it. Absolutely useless explanation. They might as well have just said because quantum, because reasons, because we couldn't kill off one of our two gay characters. That wasn't right. We need Stamets to be able to kiss a man more to get that check box in our politically correct report card for the season. And we don't want to bring in another gay guy so quickly, because then the Stamets would look like he didn't care about his husband. So we need to bring the husband back. At least Spock, when Spock was brought back to life, he was literally on a planet called Genesis, where the Genesis effect was to bring dead things to life. So we understand why Spock's body came back. And we understand that Dr. McCoy held his Qapla because Spock very wisely chose Dr. McCoy to mind meld with and said, remember. And in an instant, his copy, not his actual Qapla was obviously still in his own body, because he was very much in control of his body. So a copy was copied to Dr. McCoy, who didn't feel the effects of it until conveniently later. But at least there's a reason. We know Spock came back. Captain Kirk, at least there was a reason. He was inside. I was going to say he was inside the Genesis. No, he was inside the Nexus. So at least we can understand, okay, the Nexus, we got some basic rules of how it works. He's in the Nexus, he can come out of the Nexus anytime, any place he wants, apparently. So sure, let's come out like 60 seconds before some madman shoots off a missile, instead of 2 days later, and you could have had a break and then just been waiting there for him and just shoot him when he shows up, and saved a lot of time. But no, okay, so you come back 60 seconds before you're really needed. Okay, but we have some reason why the Nexus works. We have some reason why, some explanation as to why Spock lives, some explanation how Kirk lives. We even get an explanation to how Kirk in the JJ verse comes back because of Khan's blood. As stupid as it is, at least I can grasp what they were trying to tell me. I heard it, I listened to it 2 or 3 times, and I still do not understand what Stamets is trying to say. What exactly made the Doctor live, other than the power of Stamets's tears? Tears, crying, like the tears of unicorns or something, somehow made Stamets transfer at the moment before the moment of death, after the moment of death. Some point he transferred over to the My Serial Network, even though we saw him neck, Ash did a serious break of the neck, and he was dead. He was dead a while by the time Stamets got out of his dummified, induced coma and came over and started crying next to the body. So it opens up so many more questions that we better not even ask, because Michael needs faith. Michael, you don't believe in a soul, you don't believe in this, but you know what? I don't know how much more faith you need, Michael Burnham. Something weird just happened, and you more or less witnessed it yourself. So there's more than what's going on. I'm not even going to pretend to know why the doctor's alive, but he is. And of course, he can't just walk back onto the ship. That would be too easy. The spores, who are a little good and a lot bad, and again, the spore that got on Tilly was from the Mira universe. So I guess the spore network doesn't have an evil counterpart. I guess it's just the same network, no matter what side of the universe you're on. So who's to say where the spores are sending people to begin with? But fine, we'll just accept that they know instinctively which universe to send people back to. So they beam with their organic transporter. They beam the doctor back onto the Enterprise, back onto the Discovery, in this giant dead tardigrade brown looking thing. Why didn't anybody cut this thing open looking for Tilly? Number one, this thing should have been ripped apart when they thought Tilly was actually inside of it. It's like nobody even opened it up to try to get Tilly out the second time. They did it the first time, but they didn't do it again. So fine. So he just beams back into this conveniently existing plot device in engineering. Nobody took it out of engineering thinking, oh, this might be dangerous. Maybe we don't want it next to our very sophisticated and highly unknown organic spore travel system. Maybe this would be better in a cargo bay. No, we just leave it in main engineering. That's fine. So he beams back and he emerges from a womb naked as he was born, without, and when he was in the Mycerial network, his hair, he grew facial hair, a significant amount. Clearly not naturally growing. I don't think any man's hair grows out like that, in that direction and in those ways, but at least we got the impression that it had been weeks, perhaps months, since he shaved. Of course, he comes out of the cocoon perfectly groomed, no facial hair, but yes, still hair on his head, still eyebrows. So I guess the Mycerial network knew that he needed eyebrows and he needed hair on his head, but the hair on the rest of his body, and granted, we thankfully couldn't see 100% of his body, but we saw more than we needed to, and didn't seem like a hair on the rest of them. Fine, but yeah, very, very weird choice for the spores to send him back, sans clothes, sans hair, except the places he wanted it, I guess. I don't know. So, and yeah, despite all those things happening, despite the destruction to canon of Section 31 of shuttlecrafts now having weapon systems. I mean, okay, I can retcon in my head that, okay, just because the Enterprise shuttles didn't have weapons in TOS, and that it doesn't mean that the shuttles at a starbase, maybe they were a little bigger, a little fancier. A starbase, because let's say it's a Deep Space Nine. They didn't even have shuttles. They had runabouts. So maybe maybe starbases had a shuttle that's better than a starship can hold. Maybe they're a little bigger, though it didn't look bigger. It certainly fit in Discovery just fine. Maybe they're a little fancier. I don't know. So fine. They've got some weapons. Okay. Not the end of the world. I don't like it, but not the end of the world. The Section 31 starship, officially, when we first saw it, I said it. I was like, it looked like it was uncloaking. It's exactly what I said. And Anti-Tracker and some other people said, he wasn't sure, but after looking at it, he just thinks the special effects were unfinished. And, as it turns out, it may have been cloaked, but it's a holograph. It's a hologram emitter. The entire ship, it was hidden inside of a hologram of a meteor, a giant meteor that no one noticed. A giant meteor the size of a starship, really twice the size of a starship, was coming right to Discovery, and no alarms were going off. No one noticed. It's like they were going to watch it pass right in front of the window. When all of a sudden it turns into the Section 31 starship we saw 2 episodes ago. So more than likely, the end of that episode, it wasn't that the CGI was bad. It's that the CGI was that its hologram was coming down, and because it was the same type of effect we saw last night. Why this? Even if it was the hologram, you would think the sensors would have detected a starship, a power signature, something. So it's like, no. Not only is it a hologram, it's almost like a cloaking device, because apparently it could have been, right next to Discovery, and they didn't know there was a starship next to them. So it's more than a hologram. It's half a cloaking device. Well before Starfleet should know or have any idea how cloaking devices work. This total death of Section 31. Section 31 now has technology 50 to 100 years beyond what the rest of the Federation is using. Absurd stuff. Overall, I'm giving this episode, and it will change. It will change as time goes on, but I'm giving it like a 2 right now. It was so boring. It was such a disappointment after the highs of last week and 2 weeks before that even. I don't know. What I did like that Michael Burnham was not 100% the source of every good idea. Although she got credit for saving Tilly, Tilly really saved herself. Once between Stamets and Tilly, they really, whether Michael Burnham was there or not, Tilly would have been saved. Tilly got herself back on the Discovery, and Burnham really didn't serve any major major purpose in that, although she likes to think she did. So I like that we got some spreading of the hero-ness, although not a lot. Not a lot. Pike again is coming down a few notches. Totally misunderstands or assumes a threat where none was. Though he does call out Burnham. He does realize at least she's lying to him, or at least not telling him the complete truth about Georgiou and Ash Tyler. But she tells him, I just can't tell you right now. It's a long story. And he's okay with that. So that was kind of okay, but damn convenient for her that he's not going to pursue it right now. And that was it. I mean, it was upsetting. It was an upsetting episode because there could have been so much more out of it, and it just got boring. Okay, now just go through it real quick. The episode starts out, you got Michael Burnham running down the corridor of the Discovery, and she's actually running to engineering, and there Stamets tells her that he can't find Tilly or something like that. Tilly's gone. And then Burnham gives a monologue about not being able to deal with the loss of her friend or something, of not knowing. It's that she doesn't know what happened to her. And Burnham gives at least 2 monologues in this episode, and let me tell you, they are at least 2 monologues too many. Definite low points of the episode. We don't need a narrator. Yes, I know we get a captain's log. It's traditional in Star Trek, but these are not captain's logs. These are just narrations on how Michael Burnham personally feels, and none of it is necessary. Yeah, so she's in this scene. She's looking at Tilly's bed. Yeah, because and this, now I know we saw this before, and I didn't bring it up, or if I did bring it up, I didn't bring it up enough. I guess at some point we're supposed to believe Michael Burnham and Tilly are still roommates, right? Because Michael Burnham got quite the promotion under Lorca, and then after Lorca, and we're supposed to believe she's still sharing a room with Tilly, Deviated Septum, or whatever Tilly. It just seems to me, especially after the events of the short tracks, where Tilly was alone in her room, for whatever reason, that like maybe Michael had her own room again. That maybe she doesn't need to be sharing rooms with an ensign now that she is a science officer or something again. But no, for the purposes of this episode, they're roommates again. So there's that. She's not happy. She's still sad. She comes to the bridge. Everybody on the bridge is kind of bummed out. They've detected what they think is Spock's shuttle, but of course we know it's not Spock. He's headed... I thought this was one of those giant red things. I'm like, oh, he's headed to one of the red things. That makes sense. But apparently it's just any old nebula. They just decided to make it red. I guess to subvert my expectations, whatever. I mean, if that doesn't look like one of the red things we saw earlier, I don't know what they were doing. I don't know. I mean, it's almost like they intentionally thought it was a red thing, and then they rewrote the script to just call it a nebula. That would be my thought. And he gives the word to fire the photon torpedo. That I mean, look how close that shuttle was to Discovery. No reason you could not lock on the. No reason you cannot lock on the tractor beam. We have to go through this dumb shuttle explosion scene. For how much did this photon torpedo scene cost? Okay, this is probably what, $100,000 in CGI rendering here, and God knows how many days to get this scene right. At least in man hours, and I mean that in the most patriarchal way possible. Human hours, obviously, not man hours, but man hours is what the term is called. Yeah, so absurd waste for an effect that was 100% unnecessary. 100% unnecessary. Yeah. So then they've tractor beamed the shuttle into the shuttle bay. There's things flying around the shuttle bay because apparently that's safe. It's safe. 100% safe to have shuttles flying by you. And this obviously is not even hipster Spock's legs and buttocks. This is a very feminine looking figure who then turns out to be evil Empress Georgiou. And of course, only Michael Burnham and herself know who she really is. Even Captain Pike is in the dark, despite saying he was briefed. Remember, he came on this episode. He started season 1 of season 1. He started season 2, episode 1, saying he was briefed about the events, that he knew Lorca betrayed them. But if he did not know about the mirror universe, how briefed was he? How briefed could he have been for him not to have known about the events that took place in the mirror universe? Or he just knows some of the events that took place in the mirror universe and not all. I don't know. It doesn't make sense. He should have known. Credits. More credits. Yep, more credits. Okay. Now Georgiou and Pike and Burnham. Captain Pike figures out that she's on a classified mission. Again, 100% she could have just told them this over the comm from the shuttle, completely preventing any need for her to get picked up by Discovery at all. But reasons, she needs to be there for something interesting to happen, I suppose. For Michael Burnham to be pissed off. Okay, and this is it. This is the scene. This is the death of Section 31 right here. 8 minutes and roughly 30 seconds in. This explains everything. And Michael Burnham knows that's a Section 31 badge. So not only, you can't even say just captains have been briefed on Section 31. I mean, there are things that we know from the Star Trek universe that only captains have been briefed on. Q, although commanders too in that case. But definitely the Omega molecule, and probably some other things that captains have been told, but even first officers have not. Um, so you could say maybe captains know about Section 31, whereas everyone else on a Starfleet doesn't. It's kept that classified. I wouldn't, because clearly even that is too many people that know about Section 31. But they're not even going that route. I mean, clearly uh, Burnham was at her highest rank a first officer, now a science officer, I believe, if she has any official rank at all. And she knows what Section 31 is. Uh, and Pike says how fancy it is, and covert ops, intelligence gathering, all bullcrap. That's not what Section 31 does. I mean, they do it, but not for Starfleet. Okay, now this guy, the captain of the Section 31 ship, whose name I did not commit to memory because I don't care enough. He's apparently good friends with Pike, but of course he doesn't use the view screen. He's using the hologram thing, hologram communicators, and Pike is saying he was always more comfortable operating in the gray areas. So, because he doesn't fulfill the Federation's directives and whatnot, like Pike does. So yeah, they have a discussion. Georgiou and Michael catch up. Michael tells her the way to the shuttle bay so that she can leave the ship she never needed to be on to begin with. And now Michael's got to come and get involved in the Tilly storyline, because why not? She needs to be in both A and B plots. So Stamets, I'm going to be honest, he's talking complete nonsense about sorry about that, coughed. He thinks he knows what he's talking about, and yes, he kind of quotes the basics of some thermodynamics and matter and energy can't be created or destroyed. But then he limits it to a chemical reaction for some reason, and says in a chemical reaction, matter can't be destroyed. Why does this have to be a chemical reaction, Mr. Chief Engineer? And I still have a hard time believing Stamets is Chief Engineer, but people have told me he is, and I don't care enough to look it up, so I will take their word for it. Matter can't be created or destroyed. I believe you, because that is a fundamental law of the universe, but also the Heisenberg uncertainty principle is a kind of law, but we have Heisenberg compensators, or should I say, you have Heisenberg compensators. So, things that should be true aren't necessarily true. And if matter can't be created nor destroyed, what happens when you vaporize something with a phaser? Because clearly it's not converted to energy. Because if you vaporized a person, the amount of energy in the mass that is lost would be that of a billion atomic bombs. Okay, you can't tell me that it was just converted to energy and dissipated into the environment. No, if you were to vaporize one person, you would destroy a planet, possibly a solar system. So no, that doesn't work. So I don't know, Stamich. You definitely just talk nonsense in all your lines. I used to like you, but you've gone total. You've gone total mushroomed out. Maybe you're still tripping. I don't know. Um, and here's Tilly. Tilly waking up in. Now, in case we weren't sure where she is, she's in the upside down. Yes. Yes, the upside down. In fact, they even put the camera upside down so that we know they are clearly trying to to give us that Stranger Things feel. And sure, does this not feel like the upside down world from Stranger Things? Tell me you didn't believe that, because that's where I thought she was. I mean, I knew it's the my serial network, whatever, but it's also the upside down. Yeah, yeah. Of course, it's got May instead of some crazy headed monster looking to eat you, but yeah, no, that's just details. And May is such a pain. Um, she's not even consistent in Tilly's own stories. Remember when she was first introduced, Tilly said May was so mean to her. But then in later stories, Tilly's like, May was her best friend. May was the only person who believed in her. Which is it, Tilly? Which is it? I don't think you even had a friend, May. I think she's completely made up. I don't think you've ever had a friend. I'm kidding. I'm kidding. Not kidding too much, but, at least stay consistent, damn it, Star Trek. Stay consistent from your own episode to episode. I don't even expect you to be consistent with the other series, but at least be consistent with your own season. Okay, within episodes of your own season, at least be consistent. Okay, so yes, the mycelial network has nitrogen oxygen atmosphere. Apparently, everybody can breathe, and the spores burn when they attack you. And of course, they'd attack her because they think she's bad, because spores think all humans are evil, I suppose. Except May. May has to tell them, no, she's my friend, don't kill her. We're going to use her to get rid of that other crazy thing, monster. The monster that's been running around for an intelligent, sentient species capable of producing May. They clearly have a very hard time figuring out, hey, that's just another human being. We saw an entire ship full of them. Maybe we just want to put that human being back on the ship he came from, since, hey, we're completely able to actually transport human being tissue in and out of our existence. So maybe we just want to do that instead of kidnapping a woman from a starship, taking her back to our realm and letting her kill another human who who, would not have attacked us had we not attacked him first, right? They had to attack him first, or he never would have rubbed himself with that tree bark that kills them. Yes, tree bark. In their realm, there's a tree that is poisonous to them. Yet the tree grows naturally all over, apparently. And so the doctor realized after getting burned like hell from these nasty spore a-holes that if he covers himself in tree bark, they won't attack him. And so he does, which any logical person would do if they were able to figure that out. But it wouldn't be his fault, right? It would kind of be your fault, spores, for attacking him first, right? The doctor might be a lot of things, but he does not seem like the type that would go in and purposely start trying to kill whatever life forms were there. So I don't know. Oh, and here is Burnham. Of course, Pike gets notice that Section 31 ship is sending over a liaison. And of course, we all knew it as soon as we heard it. The liaison is Ash Tyler, who previously was not shown in this episode. But, here he is. The first look at Ash. And now Michael's like, I don't know. He's, she expected that he was going to be on Kronos. Now, Pike knows that was Vosh. And he knows the whole history of Ash and Vosh, apparently. But I guess he does not know that Michael and him had a relationship. And now this is where Pike says that he knows she's lying about something, and she admits that she just can't tell him the truth right now, but she will at some point. And here we see Michael and Ash reunited for the first time, and Ash complains that there's a security guard watching them, and of course it's the woman from the Enterprise with those cheek implants, the Bazarin, whatever the hell she was. That's not important. Why a Section 31 agent would need a security guard really flies in the face of what they themselves have said about Section 31 10 minutes ago. So, and what they will say later. So, okay, absurd. So, at this point, Stamets has concluded that because there is no trace elements of Tilly left in the big, ugly, smelly looking brown thing on the floor in engineering, which they apparently did not rip open to look for Tilly, but they've just scanned it, that since there's no human DNA in there or anything, that Tilly must be alive. Right? Because it's not that she could have been vaporized or transported into space or God knows what, digested into component parts that you would never be able to tell were human. No, she has to be alive. So now Burnham tells Pike that Tilly could be alive and they've got to go rescue her, and Stamets is explaining it to the crew, and of course here Stamets sees Ash for the first time, and Ash is of course the one who killed his husband, and they all know it. But they all let it go because they're super professionals. Okay, so here Stamets is giving his thing about they're gonna half jump somehow, and they're gonna stick themselves in. They're gonna stick themselves into the mycelial network halfway, and Burnham says uh, it's right. It'd be too dangerous that people can't touch the mycelial network except, I guess, through engineering, because if they do, they're going to be turned inside out, right? In case you were afraid, in case you weren't afraid enough, yes, that's what's going to happen. Like the bodies they found on the Glen, which was season 1, but of course, it seems Pike knows exactly what happened because he was so well briefed, but not about Mirror Universe stuff, but briefed about everything else. So Burnham says she's going to come with Stamets, and of course that's okay, because obviously, why wouldn't it be? Of course, this booth that was meant to hold one person, no problem shoving a second person in there. This is the only place on the ship where it's safe to contact the mycelial network, for reasons. No explanation is given, which is fine, because let's face it, they could give no reasonable explanation as to why that would be true. Okay, so they jump in, and Saru gave them special communicators so they could talk even though they're in the mycelial network. And they hold hands for some reason, like they're going through a Stargate maybe, even though they seem to just be walking right on out. They can see where they're going. And of course, Tilly has already come back on the ship with May. Like I said, no noticeable way they got back on the ship is ever given, but whatever. And of course, they're walking around the half a ship that's been evacuated, so they can't find anyone. And Tilly's like, "Oh, where is everybody?" Well, I don't know, Tilly. Maybe the fact that they'd be dead if they were in this section of the ship is why you don't see them. But maybe she doesn't know. Maybe she doesn't know. Maybe it's the one thing she doesn't know. And of course, this is where Burnham rescues Tilly, but of course Tilly is just fine. And Tilly has to explain she's holding a Type 3 phaser rifle, which is bigger and badder than a Type 1 or 2, just in case the alien or whoever she's looking for didn't know. More powerful. Yep. Okay, good. Okay, now Burnham tells them, we got less than an hour. So, of course, less than an hour is plenty of time. We can't get back home that early. Of course, there's got to be a complication. And, of course, the complication turns out to be the doctor's horrible. And May is begging that they kill him. Kill it. And he's running away. And, of course, nobody runs after him, not initially at least. But why should they? Because we have marathon runner Tilly here. She can catch up with even the fastest people in Starfleet. Tilly can catch up to and surpass. So you know what? Give the guy a 5-minute head start. It doesn't matter. Tilly's going to catch him. Oh, God. Oh, Stamets went after him, I guess. But Tilly can catch up regardless. Uh, that's the tree bark that kills the spore people. I would have just thrown it in her face. But whatever. Oh my god, they realize the doctor's still alive. That he's not just a ghost. But my serial things are penetrating the hull. Okay, we gotta go back to this scene. Because this is a very upsetting scene. We need to hold it together. And now we hear almost that trademark TNG chirp, a little different. So we know he's hit the comm badge even though we don't see him. Oh, we do see him. 2 fingers have tapped the comm badge. Yes, comm badge as in Next Generation, Deep Space Nine, Voyager comm badge, not a communicator that you hold in your hand. He's tapped his comm badge on his shirt and has opened a channel. And he is... Pike is like, what type of communicator is that? I've never seen it. Of course, nobody's going to answer him. And of course, he's talking to the captain of the Section 31 ship. And he's like, Discovery needs help. And sure, then the guy comes up. And we see the screen comes up. And we see this giant meteor that nobody noticed. Ah, there it is. It turns into a starship. Right in front of Discovery. They couldn't have been closer. The Enterprise was literally further away from the Klingon ship in Star Trek VI, with a bird of prey underneath her, than Discovery is to this ship. And the sensors, nothing. No one noticed a meteor. No one noticed a starship. No one had any clue anything was outside the ship. And now, just because again they needed to send, I don't know, maybe you know what? Somebody needs to check that Kurtzman isn't getting a kickback for unnecessary CGI effects, because it seems like he must have some personal, I don't know, Kurtzman or somebody involved in Star Trek Discovery, trust me, is getting some kind of kickback, because they're making a whole goddamn load of special effects that have absolutely no reason to be made. Okay? We've seen tractor beams in Star Trek for 50 years. I think 30, at least 30 years, probably 50. Okay? We do not need to send pods, probes, or anchor points to the ship that you're going to tractor. This was just another complete waste of money and time. Right? These things they land on Discovery, and then they become the tow points for the tractor beam of the much more advanced Section 31 ship. Why is that? Why does the Section 31 ship just have a TNG style tractor beam that could lock onto multiple points? No pods needed, because then you wouldn't have needed to have this whole scene rendered and made. They could have just done this scene, this section, and of course they don't pull them out right away because they still need time. So sure, whatever. At least they're holding them on. And oh no, that's bad. Okay, and Stamets is talking to him, and he's holding his face, and he's like, I'm real, you're real, yay, we're both real. How can you be alive? Oh, because I cry unicorn tears, and I turned you into a ghost, and then the ghost became real because of the spores. And that makes sense, yes, right? Okay, fine. So now you're alive, yay. Look who I found. He's real. And now the spores, and now the spores attack Tilly because they're a-holes. These are the most a-hole spores I ever seen. If I was them, I would have got back and I would just shoot a torpedo into the mycelial network, just like a big FU to the spores, okay? That's what you get for attacking our people. Especially when you're begging us to help you and you want to attack us. And now May thinks she's going to go shoot the doctor. He's killing them, but hey, idiot. Do you not realize he's a human like all the other people here? You should have just sent him back. If you could bring Tilly to you, you could have sent him back. But no. Whatever. Okay. This is a flashback, so we remember what he looked like when he left. Now, remember, we just saw what he looked like the day he died, and he had a beard. So when he comes back, the fact that he doesn't have a beard, you cannot chalk it up to the fact that he was returned to the same way that he went, because we just saw what he looked like when he left. So I know that was a theory as to why he would look so well clean shaven when he gets back, as opposed to his raggedy self that he was in the network. But clearly that is busted. That myth is busted. Okay, now Georgiou and this guy are having a power struggle on the bridge of his ship. Georgiou is forcing him to give Michael 3 more minutes because she still loves Michael. Michael is still so important to her for whatever reason. Georgiou says Michael's going to have to start trusting her again. Because she could have had her killed so many times. Always the way to gain somebody's trust. Georgiou pulls out some bullshit about something this guy did back in the day, and that Starfleet would be pissed off if they ever found out. But you know what? That's bullshit, because he's Section 31. Starfleet wouldn't have anything to say about it. They shouldn't even know about it. But you ruined it. You ruined Section 31, you bastards. Okay, Georgiou, you get your way. They got an extra couple of minutes, which of course is all they need. They got back. It's safe. He's like, come on over. See, it's safe. A good thing he just puts his hand through, because if he had walked through, I guess he'd be dead. Because, oh no, the hand doesn't come. The hand doesn't come. They didn't think that he's not made of the same material as Stamets and them, although he looks the same. So now we have a much more drawn out scene, and I'll say last week's episode of Saru dying was drawn out, but at least it was a good scene. This, on the other hand, is drawn out and not a good scene, where he's ready to kill himself, then obviously put the ship in harm, which is admirable, but of course nobody dies on Michael Burnham's watch unless you're a mansplaining white male. So Doctor is safe, we know that much. Um, yes. Michael explains how the brown smelly thing, on their side is made of atoms from their universe. So naturally, if they organically beam the doctor over to, oh my God, if they beam the doctor over to the Discovery through the same thing that they took Tilly away in, convenient, he'll be all human again. Yay! Michael Burnham saves the day. And of course, Tilly was. Tilly's talking to her friend May, because May wasn't on board with this, but Tilly has to convince May to do the right thing, and Stamets finally believes it's going to happen, so they all get back in, and Michael calls for a black alert, signaling they're all safe. So now Pike can finally get the ship out of its death spiral, and here they come. They're going to get out of. They're going to get out of the. Oh, yeah, they're stuck good, but okay. They're gonna. Okay, you can see now. The Mycerial network is retreating from the bridge. And boom, they're safe. They're safe. The series does not end. Yay, Discovery continues. Yay, Discovery continues. I know we were all afraid. We were all afraid they were all going to die, and the series was going to end. Was going to end surprisingly at season 2, episode 5. But no. Who is honking the horn? Seriously, people. Learn to drive. I have terrible drivers in my neighborhood. I'm sorry, people. Yes, Discovery's good. Everyone's alive. Yay, yay, yay. And they're standing down red alert. Did they even call a red alert? I don't know. There was a black alert. Okay, now they're waiting because they're not sure if the doctor's going to actually come back or not. They're feeling bad, like, oh, that bitch, she didn't send him back. But sure enough, of course it all works out. And the cocoon just falls apart, right? When it transported Tilly, it stayed, right? That was convenience. It stuck around. On this transport, it just disintegrates into spores again. And these spores, what? Find their way back to the network? Does Discovery capture them? Wait, what about all those spores in those containers in Discovery's bank? Aren't those all sentient beings? Isn't Discovery, like, doesn't it have millions of sentient beings in cages right now? Shouldn't they all have been released? But no. Apparently that would be too much. We can't do that. We might still need the spore drive. We've got at least half a season left. So no, we're gonna keep those spores hostage, at least until the end of the season, I guess. And yes, here's naked Doctor. Look at that. No beard. Okay? No beard. Completely clean shaven, yet perfectly shaped hair. Eyebrows, perfectly shaped hair. eyelashes, all the hair that you're supposed to have, except facial hair. Look, 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 look. It's even gradient. It's even cut on a gradient. That's a fancy cut. That's not even a Flowbee home job. That is a professional, one step at least above supercuts. Somebody knew what they were doing when they cut that hair. Well job on the hair. I don't know if the credit goes to the spore drive, to the mycelial network, to May. Did May take a hair cutting course, maybe a correspondence school or something, perhaps? And she's like, maybe that's why there was a delay in sending him. She's like, let me lather you up and shave off your beard and give you this brand new clean, give you a clean shave and a spiffy haircut so that your husband doesn't reject you for looking awful and disgusting. I don't know. Maybe May did that. Maybe May has the powers of a beautician or oh, it's been so long since I've needed one. A barber shop. Maybe May has the special powers of a barber shop. And he's perfectly groomed. And yay, they can be in love again. And oh, it aired on Valentine's Day. It's a love story. It aired on Valentine's Day. He got his love back. I almost forgot. It touched my heart. My straight heart was touched. Even though they're gay, it didn't matter. It was such a beautifully written love story about a lost love returned that it jumped the barriers of sex and gender. And even my cold, conservative heart was lit by the warm pink glow of diversity and multicultural and gender fluidness love. Yay, yay! I've been transformed, Star Trek. You may. I'm gonna vote for Hillary again. You did it. I'm gonna vote for Hillary again. So, and you would think the episode would have ended there, but no. Let's throw in 10 more minutes. Pike goes over to the Section 31 ship. Oh, the admiral that Lorca was banging. Of course she knows about Section 31. So I guess maybe Prime Lorca was in Section 31. And really, that Mirror Lorca, maybe he wasn't all that different from Prime Lorca. I don't know. But why is a Starfleet admiral giving Starfleet has new and critical information about the 7 signals? Really, Starfleet? Because you could only have gotten that info from Pike, or possibly this other guy. So why are you telling them something they already know? Unless you've got a third ship on this mystery, which we don't know about, which is possible, I suppose, in this screwed up universe. But why is a Starfleet admiral giving orders to Section 31? Makes no sense. Oh, and they've got tachyons. Because now they detected tachyons. And of course, tachyons can only mean time travel. Time travel. So now it's even more important. It wasn't important when there were only 7 mysterious, unexplained objects around the entire galaxy tens of thousands of light years apart, appearing simultaneously, so important that we called our flagship to meet our secondary flagship, send their captain over so that he could go right away and explore these things. They were the most critical things in the entire Federation. But now they're even more important because they detected tachyons. So now it's really important you figure out what's going on, when before it was only super important. Now it's really uber super important you do your work. And of course I have to tell you how to do your job, and you guys need to work together, even though by no logic you should be working together. And only Spock has any connection to these signals. Wrong. We know Michael does, but whatever. Not that I want to see more of Michael, but wrong. So basically, take Spock alive is the short way of saying what she's saying. Yes, this whole scene about she does has to explain that Section 31 is not the shining beacon of righteous conduct that Captain Pike wants it to be, but it's necessary. And Pike agrees that, okay, they're a necessary evil, more or less, and he'll play nice with the other guy. Sorry, Mom. We'll play nice. We'll play nice. I'll be your friend if you be my friend. Okay. Okay. I'll try to remember that my path is clearer than yours, because, you know, I'm a good guy and you're not quite a good guy. Of course, in this universe, oh, and then he's told that Ash is going to be staying on the ship permanently. Permanently. At least for now. Exactly. Permanently, at least for now, unless he prefers Georgiou. But of course, quicker than Pike could say no, or as quick as Pike said no, the Admiral said no. So I guess it wasn't this guy's call to even offer Georgiou to begin with. So why would you? You're getting superseded at everything you do, guy. Georgiou superseded you. Now the Admiral's superseding you. Are you the head of Section 31, or are you just some lowly, I don't know, Section 31 random employee? I don't know. I don't know what you'd be called. But it doesn't look good for you, sir. Yeah. And Georgiou holograms into Michael to speak to her about how she saved Discovery, and she wants Michael to trust her again. And now we get another monologue of Michael Burnham, a monologue we don't need. We see the doctor is being scanned by medical equipment we've never seen before, but okay. No problem, he's good. And we finally come in conclusions. Pike is looking at Red Angel stuff, trying to figure it out. Tilly and Burnham are friends again, they're home. And now Burnham walks onto the bridge like she did at the beginning, where everybody was sad, but now everyone is happy again. The end. The end. And next week, they go to Saru. And that's it. That's it. I've had enough. I'm out. Thank you all for watching my video. Please remember to comment, like, and subscribe. And don't forget to hit that bell icon. Without it, you won't get notifications of new videos. If you want to visit me, check out my forum at juot.net. I'm also on social media, on Facebook, Twitter, and Gab. And if you're really crazy, you can send me some money on PayPal. Take care.